welcome back to Crafternoons at the CHS Library. Today we're going to make a duct tape wallet. And we're going to be basing this on a pattern from the book Sticky Fingers, DIY Duct Tape Projects by Sophie Maletsky, which you can check out from our library. So to make a duct tape wallet, you only need a few things. You need duct tape, obviously. You can use as many or as few colors as you'd like. I'm going to use these cool owls as one of my primary duct tapes, and then this nice red contrast. And then we're going to do some accents in black. And I'm going to use a cutting mat and a box cutter, but you can also just use scissors. I just find that the box cutter gives me a little bit more precision. And you will need a ruler. All right, let's get started.
So we're going to start by clearing the cutting mat so that we can create a piece of duct tape fabric that is 9 by 9 inches. And you have to obviously start by finding the end of your duct tape, which I had a little trouble with. So this is where a cutting mat comes in really handy because the duct tape won't stick to it and it's already got all of the measurements pre-marked. So I'm going to carefully line up a strip of duct tape with the measuring lines and then cut it so that it's a little bit more than 9 inches so that I'll be able to trim off excess, if I have any mistakes or anything at the end. And then I'm going to lay another piece of duct tape on top of that and trim it, making sure there's a little bit of an overlap so that the pieces of duct tape actually stick together. And I'm going to keep doing that until I have a piece that is a little over 9 inches wide and a little over 9 inches long. So like I said, I can kind of trim off the excess there. And notice, since I'm using a box cutter, I'm being really, really careful before I cut to get my fingers out of the way. And I'm just pressing and smoothing down that duct tape to make sure that it lays pretty flat. I don't want any bubbles or wrinkles or anything. That'll mess up how the wallet looks. And I'm going to keep going until this layer is a little longer than 9 inches. And now that all that's done, I need to very carefully, from the top, peel up this square of duct tape. You have to be super, super careful. As you can see, I pulled my cutting mat out of alignment here. Because you want to make sure that you're not getting the duct tape stuck to anything else, especially itself. Then we're going to do the back side of the fabric. So we're going to grab another color of duct tape or another pattern. In this case, I'm going to use the owls. And very, very carefully line them up with the bottom edge of what I've created. And you can see I'm overlapping a little bit. That's on purpose. So the stickiness on the back of the owls is going to hold down the red duct tape square while I put the rest of my owl duct tape on this back side. So I'm sticking duct tape to duct tape. And with a pattern, I want to be super careful because I want this to look really nice to line up the pattern and the repeat of the pattern. So I'm just trying really carefully to make sure everything is smooth and lined up. And this tape, I'm not overlapping at all. So if you're using a solid duct tape and a pattern duct tape, you want to make sure that you use your solid color for the first side where there's overlap, so you have the ability to line up your patterns on the back side. All right, now I can peel this up and you can see it's hardly sticking to the cutting mat because duct tape sticks to duct tape. And now I'm going to trim it a little bit so that this sheet that I've made is actually 9 inches by 9 inches, which is the size that the pattern in the book calls for. So I'm going to line it up with the lines on my cutting mat. And then I'm going to use the ruler to make sure that I get a nice straight edge. And it is kind of tricky sometimes with the box cutter and the plastic ruler. I've actually shaved off a little bit of my ruler before, so be really careful when you do that. But you can see I had a little bit of excess there, so I can peel that off the cutting mat. Put that to the side, and then I'm going to keep trimming the edges down so I get a nice 9x9 square. You also have to be careful with the ruler that you're continuing to press down really, really hard, because it's going to want to move a little bit, and you want to make sure that you are getting a nice straight edge. Now that our 9x9 square is finished, I'm going to trim one edge in my contrast or my accent color of duct tape, because this is going to be one of the finished edges of the wallet. So I want to make sure it looks nice and clean. So I'm going to measure out another piece of duct tape that is 9 inches. I'm going to use my ruler to get a nice straight cut on the edge. And then this finish doesn't need to be super wide, so I'm using the markers on my cutting mat to measure just a 1/2 inch wide strip of duct tape, and then I'm going to cut, again using the ruler to make sure I get a nice straight edge. I'm going to now carefully peel up that strip that I just cut, and before I actually place it on the top of my duct tape fabric, I'm going to make sure a couple of times that I have it aligned correctly. I'm going to position it so that there's a little bit of overhang so that I will be able to fold that black strip of duct tape over onto the back side of my fabric and give it a nice clean finish. There's a little excess there, so I'm going to trim that off, being very, very careful again of where I place my fingers, because I have cut myself before and it's not fun. So whatever cutting implement you use, please be very careful. I don't want you to get hurt. And once that is trimmed off, there we have our finished duct tape fabric. Our next step is to fold the fabric that we've created into the wallet shape. So we are going to measure 3.5 inches from an end of the duct tape fabric. And you can mark that on your duct tape, or if you're feeling adventurous like I am, you can just eyeball it and then use your ruler to make sure that you fold it up the correct amount. And I have folded the correct amount, but I've also just realized I've made a mistake because that finished edge needs to wind up on the outside of the wallet, and the way that I was folding it, it was going to be on the inside. So make sure that you are measuring up from the raw, unfinished edge of your duct tape fabric. Again, you're measuring 3.5 inches, and you want to fold that over. And then you can measure it to double check. But I'm thinking here, trying to figure out whether the owls are going to be upside down or not. And they are going to be upside down on the outside of the wallet, but right side up on the inside. So if you're using a patterned fabric or a patterned duct tape that has a specific up and down, before you trim your edge, decide whether you want your pattern to be right side up on the outside or on the inside. I didn't think about that before I trimmed it, so mine's just going to be wrong side, or upside down on the outside, but that'll be okay. So measuring 3.5 inches, I'm folding that down and then double checking to make sure I got the right width. Kind of adjusting so it's exactly 3.5. And I'm trying to crease that down nicely. Then I'm going to fold the remainder of the duct tape fabric on top of the fold that I just made. And I'm going to use my duct tape to weigh that down while I cut pieces of my accent color duct tape to seal up the ends of the wallet. And now that we're in a smaller size of the wallet, I only need a 4-inch long piece of duct tape. So I measure and cut that. And then I'm going to cut this piece, this 4-inch long strip, basically in half, lengthwise. And carefully peel up one of those strips. And that's going to go on one of those open ends. But to make sure that I really get it, half on one side of the wallet and half on the other, I'm going to put my duct tape strip back on the cutting mat and then carefully peel up and fold back about half of it. Then I'm going to take the folded up fabric and sort of slide it in there. Press the duct tape down on one side so you can see I've got an overhang there. Carefully peel that up and then tape it over the back side of the wallet. And I've got some excess there, so I'm going to, again, very carefully trim that off. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So now I have this sealed up pouch, and I need to cut off the top edge so that I have the cash pocket for the wallet. So I'm going to very carefully, again, line up my ruler so I can get a nice straight cut. This is easy to do with scissors as well, but I'm just going to trim off a tiny bit, about 1/8 of an inch, I think, maybe even less than that, off the top of the wallet so that, like I said, I can have that cash pocket. And again, being careful to press down on the ruler to keep it in place. And now you can see that awesome pop of red that I have on the inside of the wallet, which was the duct tape that we started this whole thing with. Carefully use my box cutter to trim this strip off completely. Now we have a cash pocket. So how do we finish the wallet? I'm gonna fold it in half, make sure we try to get a nice strong crease, because we're gonna need to put a skinny piece of duct tape up the middle to separate the two card pockets. And that, just like the first strip that we used, is gonna need to be only about 4 inches long. So I'm gonna use that piece of duct tape that I've been trimming off of this whole time. Measure to 4 inches, cut very carefully, peel away the excess. And then this time I'm only cutting a 1/4 inch wide strip. And I will peel that up very carefully. And then duct tape doesn't keep a crease very well, so you've got to really fold and kind of press that down. You can also use the markings on your cutting mat or your ruler to line up to the center of your wallet, and then place that 1/4 inch wide strip of duct tape right up the middle of your wallet. Tuck the excess into the wallet, and now we have card pockets. So there's one more step to finishing the wallet, and I was just trying to decide there if I wanted to use the red or the black to finish up the top edge, because right now we've got a raw edge, but I like the way the black looks. I think it's a nice clean look. So I'm gonna measure one last strip of duct tape, 9 inches long, to match the width of my wallet. Use my ruler to make sure I get a nice straight edge. And then this is another finishing edge like we did at the top of the duct tape fabric initially. So I'm gonna measure 1/2 inch strips, and I need 2 because I need one for the front of the wallet and the back of the wallet. My ruler's slipping around here. I'm getting really intense, so you can see the top of my head a little bit in the shot. I'm sorry about that. But I want to make sure that I have a really nice, precise, clean cut. So I just cut 2 strips of 9-inch long and 1/2 inch wide duct tape to finish the top edges of my wallet. Peel that up carefully. And again, like I did before, to make sure that I get a pretty symmetrical overhang, I'm gonna peel up just a 1/2 of one of those strips. This is gonna wanna fall over, so you gotta move fast. And then line up the top edge of my wallet to the strip. Then carefully fold that strip of duct tape down, press slowly to make sure I don't have any wrinkles. Carefully peel that up. And then because I need to keep that top part open, I'm gonna open up the wallet and fold that excess duct tape down into the cash pocket of the wallet. Again, working slowly and carefully so that everything stays nice and smooth. So now I've got a really clean finished edge, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. So there we have it. This is our finished wallet. We've got a cash pocket and 2 card pockets in this really cool owl print with black accent and red contrast. And we have lots of different prints and colors in the library, so if you want to come grab a kit and make your own, we have plenty of options for you to choose from.
So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you make your own duct tape wallet, take a picture, let us see it, and join us next time for Crafternoons in the CHS library.